You know, all the time I say Democrats are evil. All the time I say progressives are evil. And all the time I say if you vote Democrat, you are evil. And every time there's a little part of me that wonders if I'm going too far. And then the next month, I'm proven more right and more correct than I was the last time I said all progressives are evil, and if you vote Democrat, you are evil. Let's take Atlanta, Georgia, for instance, the Rashard Brooks shooting. I've watched the entire video from two different angles as there's two different recordings of this incident. Rashard Brooks is drinking and driving. You get arrested, your car gets impounded, you go to jail. There's so many Democrats are saying, why didn't they just follow Rashard Brooks home? Because he was committing, isn't DUI a felony? It's at least an aggravated misdemeanor. I don't know how it is in Georgia. But you lose your license and you go to jail for doing that. So they try calmly to arrest him. They're polite. They're nice to him. He communicates with them just fine. And when they start putting the cuffs on, Rashard Brooks starts fighting. He punches both officers. He's a big guy, throws them both around, slams one of the cops on his head. Okay, that's like felony assault right there. Punches both the cops. They try to tase him. Doesn't work, because keep in mind, folks, currently there's another bunch of cops that got fired and arrested in Atlanta for tasing people. Now, here's what you need to know about a taser. Tasers do kill people. You know how they kill people? They kill like old people. They kill people with heart conditions because it's shocking somebody, which if you have certain conditions, certain heart problems, can kill you. Overall, against a healthy, large person like Rashard Brooks, a taser doesn't do shit. Okay, first of all, when you tase somebody, it needs these two prongs to hit you so that they can cycle electrical force through your body. If those prongs don't connect, or if the prongs get disconnected from your body, you're not being tased anymore. They try to shoot you with the jacket, the prongs don't go through, it's useless. It is a piece of shit, garbage thing that doesn't do anything. It just basically kills people sometimes who basically the police should not be tasing in the first place. And what you would think it'd be good for to subdue a large suspect like Rashard Brooks don't do shit. They tased him twice, did not do shit. But these cops that got arrested, these other cops that got arrested for using a taser on somebody, they're being charged with attempted murder by the Atlanta DA. So, according to the district attorney of the city of Atlanta, a taser is a deadly weapon. Okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, when Rashard Brooks takes a taser away from one of the cops because they can't subdue him, he's too fucking big. He's too fucking strong. He's slamming them around like he's Hulk fucking Hogan. Grabs one of the tasers, and they try to chase him. And when he turns back and fires the taser at one of those officers, Rashard Brooks is then shot 3 times. If a taser is a deadly weapon, and he pointed it back and shot it at the cops, and they fired back in self-defense, how the fuck can you charge 2 officers with felony fucking murder? They're charging them with murder too. Ridiculous. Same as Officer Chauvin, except for it was clear and obvious self-defense. And according to the DA of this fucking city, a taser is a deadly weapon, meaning that Rashard Brooks used a deadly weapon on police in the act of resisting arrest. Roughly half of the police force of Atlanta has resigned. It should be 100% of the police force. And the DA and mayor and police chief of Atlanta should all be fired and quite possibly should be charged with fucking treason. This is insane. Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. Antifa is a terrorist organization. And the reason why places like Portland and Seattle and Minneapolis and Atlanta are completely lawless fucking shitholes is because There are literal, actual, not kidding, not exaggerating, not joking, terrorists occupying offices of authority in these cities. The mayor of Portland is a terrorist. The mayor of Minneapolis is a terrorist. These are enemy combatants against the civilian populace of the United States that are deliberately, willfully endangering the public. They are deliberately not subduing riots, oftentimes encouraging or participating in riots. Take, for instance, the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, who has repeatedly violated the Constitution, has committed treason against her state and indeed the United States of America, and belongs in prison, in fact belongs on a gallows with a rope around her fucking neck, has prevented people from peaceably assembling, which is a violation of the First Amendment. They prevented people from working and being entitled to their rights as American citizens. And then the next fucking week, after her city is suing people for reopening their businesses and trying to penalize and arrest and fucking fine people for reopening their businesses, she is personally taking part in riots. You can call them protests. We know that's a fucking lie. If you have eyeballs, you know that BLM does not protest, they riot. And in these riots, dozens of other rioters have been murdered. More than a dozen police officers have been shot and killed. You probably don't know this because literally all the progressive media ever does is lie 100% of the time without exception. There is no point at any point about any subject that the left wing ever tells the truth about. And we've gotten to the point where they won't just tell the truth, they will fucking use their lies to try to kill you. They could pursue the death penalty against the police officer who shot Rashard Brooks in self-defense. This is fucking insanity. If you are a Democrat, you are fundamentally evil. You have a fucking moral responsibility to either vote for Trump or abstain from voting. If you vote for Democrats, you are voting for lawlessness, theft, murder, armed robbery, rape, assault, and chaos. Because everywhere that there are Democrat politicians refusing to do their jobs and restoring order in all these lawless zones like Chaz, all you hear constantly is about assault, theft, murder, and property destruction. And now keep in mind, it's completely illegal to fucking let an autonomous zone run and keep supplying running water and power to it because those are tax-funded things. The government does not provide you electricity. The government takes your money and then pays for that electricity to be ran. So you can imagine if they will literally suspend every single protection of the American citizen and just basically allow this to be a lawless, governmentless territory, but still use your money and your resources to supply fucking utilities to it, it's fucking monstrous. You are a psychopathic scumfuck monster if you support any of these people. We are so far beyond all the ridiculous, absurd lies told about Trump. Oh, he uses naughty words. He makes fun of people. He refuses to address MS-13 gang members, which is one of the most violent and murderous gangs on the planet. He refuses to call those people human beings. He called fucking members of MS-13 animals. Well, yeah, because they kill children with machetes, you fucking scum-sucking, worthless, subhuman, degenerate monster. We're headed for a civil war. It's not funny. It's not a meme anymore. Because the only way anybody's going to have any recourse and protect themselves from progressives is going to end up being a fucking war. There will be many, 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 many people who are hurt or killed at the end of this. Because if these people will not obey the laws of this country, if they will continuously, on purpose, endanger the lives of their civilians, and dear God, if anybody does their job in fucking law enforcement, as in enforcement of the law of this country, if the fucking police unions and the police departments and the mayoral offices of this country will not only abandon these police officers, but fucking straight up target them and try to send them to prison and try to kill them for doing their jobs and protecting the citizens of this fucking country, there will be no choice for the American citizen but to protect themselves by any means necessary, which is the catchphrase of Antifa. Antifa will end up having to be resisted and destroyed by any means necessary. Apparently, there's no legal recourse against them. In fact, this terrorist organization, this enemy occupation force of this country, is colluding with supposedly the people who make up the government of this nation. And their enemy, their target, is the American citizen. And nothing is being done about it. And fuck, maybe we should all abstain from voting, because again, you know, I may be a fucking Republican, but it isn't like Trump's doing shit about it. It's kind of a fucking cold-hearted strategy that in order to prove that Democrats are fucking subhuman, degenerate, violent, sadistic monsters who are deliberately causing the deaths and the ruination of lives of tens of thousands of American citizens on a daily basis at this point, his strategy to try to teach America a lesson about why you need to stop voting Democrats is to do nothing. To say it is up to the mayors and the governors of these states to do something about it. And what do we get from people like Gretchen Whitmer or Andy Cuomo? What are we getting out of these Democrat governors and Democrat mayors? They're letting us die on purpose. They're promoting a lawless mob who is killing people, who is taking things, who is causing tens of millions of dollars in property damage, ruining people's lives, threatening people, taking over entire fucking cities. We are at war, literally. And apparently, the strategy of Republicans is to not stop these people, thinking, oh, it's just going to get more votes for Republicans. Well, currently, guess what the Democrats are trying to do right now? They are trying to basically cancel the election and turn everything into mail-in ballots, as if Democrats don't commit widespread, massive voter fraud. Every single chance they get, they pump out tons of propaganda talking about voter ID laws, but if you walk around and ask anybody who's a Democrat if they know what a voter ID law is, they don't know. They say, oh, I heard that's racist. It's prevent black people from voting. Do you know what all of voter ID law means? Provide a state ID to vote. You got to provide an ID to get any other kind of fucking certification thing under the sun. You need a fucking ID to fucking file taxes. You need an ID to drive a car. You need an ID to fucking get a job. But to vote, to make sure we know who you are and to verify that you're not committing voter fraud, all of a sudden we have to pretend like black people don't have IDs. Excuse me? Do black people never drive cars? Do black people not file taxes? That's a lie. It is a fucking lie that voter ID laws are racist. The entire fucking point of resisting voter ID laws is to commit widespread illegal voter fraud. That's who the Democrats are. This is fucking insane.